Hello, welcome to Ozscalemodeling, and welcome to part one of the German Bismarck build. And this is a FlyHawk model. It's 1/700 scale. It's the Deluxe edition, which includes lots of extra bits like Photo-etch and brass pieces and so forth. And we're going to put this together. I chose this one because not only because of the extra fine detail that it comes with, but also the fact that this year and this month is the anniversary of the sinking of the Bismarck. So, as you may know, the hood was sunk by the Bismarck on the 24th of May, 1941, and then a couple of days later, the Bismarck was sunk. And this is 80 years ago. So I thought, well, I'll build this up as the an 80 anniversary build. Now I know that there is actually, I think Revell has brought out a 1/700 scale that is commemorating the 80th anniversary. I didn't know that until after I picked up this kit, so not to worry. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting build. If you haven't already, I've done the unboxing and review of the kit. So if you're interested in looking at what we're headed for and all the bits involved and everything, it's worth going back to the playlist and watching that unboxing. So yeah, let's make a start. And as usual, when I start any model kit builds, I like to first of all have my coffee ready, because we need our coffee, don't we, Ron? and also I need to be organized. So what I'll do is we'll go through the process of how I've gotten myself ready and organized for this build. So there's the box. That's what the cover looks like. Really nice picture there. There's a picture of the finished model with all the photo etch on it. FlyHawk have, in my lack of experience, but from what experience I have had, these models are up there with Tamiya in the way of quality. Really, really nice, as we'll see. So that aside, and have a look at what I'm doing here. Now, what I've done is I've organized all my sprues because there's a lot. So they're all separated into containers like this, so you can see, and like this. There's another one there. And what I do in this case is I write on the side the sprue letter. So we've got 2 sprues of M in here. We've got 1 of O, we've got 1 of P, 1 of J, 1 of K. So that tells me straight up if I'm looking for a certain part, that's where I got to look. It'll be in there. Same with all the rest, because there's probably about, well, let's have a look. We've got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 17, 21. So there's 21 sprues here. Normally I would tag them and I would leave them in the plastic bags and get a bit of tape and write down on there and stick it on the bag so I can see what sprue it is. But this is 700 scale. These sprues are so small. Some of them are like this, and like this. You can't really label them like that. So that's just narrows down my search when I know that I've just got to go to one container. Now also with these, FlyHawk give you a lot of the superstructure comes in individual pieces, which they put in a bag, but I've rebagged up. And what I've done is I've just labeled what's in this bag so that all those pieces in there are from that. And there's also, amongst loose pieces they have in a bag, were a couple of little sprues here which have some smaller parts on them like that. So that's how I get organized with those. Put all them away. The other thing with this is brass. So again, another container. I mean, these containers you can pick up from those cheap dollar shops. It's like you get 10 for $2 or something. They come with lids. Great way of keeping your stuff organized. So here we've got some brass parts, which include barrels for the turrets and other guns on the ship. There's also a couple of resin pieces in here. They were all supplied in these little bags, so you can see them all in there. So I've left them in those bags because they're already labeled, so you can see exactly what piece is in that one. That looks like something to do with part of a mast, maybe. That looks like the mast there. Also in the bottom of this box, I've got the decals that it comes with on the bottom, because they'll be towards the very end of the build. Like I said, there was some resin pieces in here, but you've really got to be very careful not to lose. I mean, look at that. There's a bag that looks like there's nothing in it, and yet you turn it over and look, there's just one tiny little brass piece in there. So yeah, best to keep them in the bag. Don't take them out. Do count them. Make sure you've got the correct count. There's the barrels for the turrets there. Because you want to make sure you've got all your parts. That's very important, as I found out when I was building the Scharnhorst, getting towards the end of the build when I needed part of the superstructure and found that there was a piece missing. Now, when I did that kit, I counted all the parts like you should, but the problem was I just counted them. Now, if you look at the instructions with FlyHawk, you'll see that here they've got some of the loose pieces. Now, even the loose pieces have the letters and the letter of them imprinted on the plastic part, no problem. But what I did when I checked my last kit was I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8 pieces, and I checked my kit, 8 pieces, no problem. What I didn't realize was they gave me 2 of one piece and left out a piece. So even though I had the right count of number of pieces, I was still missing a piece. So very important, and I've done that with this. Everything's there. Is check your parts. Otherwise you don't want to get part way through your build and discover, and then you're stuck. So again, all brass pieces, all there. Kept the box that it came in for reference, and they'll be put aside. Then we come to the box itself, where I put the hull and the deck. They came in these protective pieces of cardboard just to protect them from being knocked and damaged. There's the waterline piece in there as well. I'll leave these in the box. I don't want to damage them. I'll leave that covered until I need it. There's also the sides of the ship, a one piece on a bracket. But that's, yeah, I keep all that safe in the box. Now we also have lots of Photo-etch, and again, a container for the Photo-etch. So this just shows they've revised it and added a piece they've changed to the kit. So it's a little advice ticket there. This one is, so what I've done is they all come in these packets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 packets. And what I've done is I'll open them, take out cardboard, because these are usually sitting on there by a piece of little tape. They're just taped on. So I'll remove the tape And then what I've done is I've cut the top of the plastic here so it's open at the top, and I've labeled it so the sheet there is A and B, and A and B's I know is in this packet. I can see that, and I will keep them on these backings that they're on, and keep putting them back in their place like this, because it doesn't take much when you're handling these for these to get bent. So when you finish with one, I put it straight back in here, and I can see exactly which ones those are in there. So we've got those. There's another two, that's 4, 6, and then we've got these two, which is 7 and 8. Again, within easy reach, and I can see exactly where I'm going. I know that piece H is in there. Let's slide it out, start working on it, and put it back. Yeah, definitely. Also having a black background that they come on, it makes things easier to see as well. It's all about being able to see, especially on this scale, which is why I would never be able to build these ships without a pair of these. Fantastic. I've got to, these are a must-have, absolute must-have. All right, so what else? I did buy a few new tools to start this kit. Well, actually, the last kit I finished with, but this is something I've started using. These display cutters and nippers, really good quality. It's very easy, light to use, and very fine for this scale in particular, for taking pieces off the sprue neatly without having to do too much cleanup work on them. So these are really, really nice. They come with a little leather pouch to keep them in as well, protect them. They also come with a little cleaning cloth, and they're the same quality as you buy Tamiya ones for, except they're a lot cheaper and you get more for your money, and you're not just paying for a brand name. At least that's what I found. There's a little tool in there for adjusting it as well. Limit regulator. Okay. Now, also I bought some more of my ultra glue. So my other one, I probably have enough left for this model, and I use this for a lot of the photo etch. And if needed, any clear areas that I need to glue. This is also good for doing windows in portholes, which we may not have to do on something as small as this scale. But yeah, because this dries perfectly clear, and it's water-based, so you can thin it down with water and make it as thin as, or as thick as you like. But I needed another bottle of that, so I've got that ready to go. I'd also run out of my Mr. Hobby cement, but I've kept the container it was in, and I went and bought, let me just go grab that and I'll show you what I bought. Okay, so this is an Australian company called SMS, and they do an extra thin cement. And during the the COVID situation we're going through, most of these products became unavailable in hobby stores, and I found it hard to get this replaced. Even the Tamiya extra thin was just impossible to buy anywhere in the country. It still is. But these guys, being Australian, SMS extra thin cement works as good as anything else. So I've just tipped some of that into here, and it pretty much filled that bottle. I've got a third of the bottle left, so that'll last me another year or more. So yeah, good stuff. That. Now, what else was I going to do? Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. So what I've been doing in all my modeling in the past is I use Loctite super glue. I find it does the job. I can pick it up any time down the road at the local hardware store. And if I need to apply this into really tiny places, what I've done is I've made my custom glue applicator here out of a pen with a piece of wire sticking out, and I just touch that on the glue and transfer it to where I want it to go. Done. And then I just burn the end of that off with a lighter, and I can keep reusing it. And I've literally used this my whole career of building models of a year. And it's as good as the day I built it. So until I get the patent and start marketing these, I've gone for another option to improve on this and give it a go. So I've bought these. So these are stainless steel glue applicators. Voyager models is what they're made by. So the idea of these, and I haven't tried it yet, is you take one of them and they're very fine. You'll be able to see the fine tips, all different shapes. And I don't quite understand why there are so many different shapes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there. A few of them are the same shape. Some are just slightly bigger than the others. Some really unusual shapes. So I don't know. It doesn't tell you. There's no instructions on why and what the uses are for the different shapes. But anyway, it's another little tool for applying glue, and I'll give that a shot. Apparently you just touch a little bit of glue on that and it helps you put that into some small places, which I'm definitely going to need to be able to do with this model. So we'll see how those work. And but I'm sure it will never take over from my glue applicator. But anyway. All right, so it's time to make a start on this model, and I guess the first thing we need to do is check the instructions. I don't know. I'm going to try a few other, a different little thing I've got set up here. I'll just adjust the camera so you can see. If we just move this to the angle over here. So there we go. So you can just see, bring that out more. Okay, so there's my little microphone that I'm speaking into here. It just sits there. It's not really little, but it does the job. Those wondering about, I did a video, I mentioned the birds in the background. A lot of the problem I did manage to solve without baiting and poisoning the birds, which I was never going to do anyway, of course not, was the fact that this microphone has a directional thing, which I never knew. So for many, many videos back earlier in the series of the channel, this was actually facing the wrong way, and it was picking up the sound coming from, and we can just pan across. Might be able to have a look. My camera doesn't play up on me. So off to the side of me is my balcony, and that leads outside, and that's where the birds tend to hang out. But now I've discovered with the use of this microphone that I can redirect the sound towards me and less sound behind. So I know Ron liked to hear the birds in the background. I thought that would make a nice little ambient sound. And I'm sure if you listen really carefully, not so much now, you probably could pick up some of the birds that are actually coming from my kitchen at the other end, which is more in the direction of the microphone. When they get very loud and noisy, I do go around and close all the windows. Which is another reason why I try to do these videos between 4 and 6 a.m. in the morning, because the birds are still asleep. And that's a fact. Yes, I get up at that time to do a lot of this video. All right. The other thing, main reason why I wanted to show you is this. We have a second camera here. So this is a DJI action cam. I use this usually on my motorbike to capture footage, but I've decided to try and give it a shot here. So we're looking at an angle across my little work area and bench, and I'm going to give this a go. Turn that on. There we go, it's on. And we'll switch to this view now, and I'll show you that. And there you go, see, so this will give maybe a different angle and a closer look at some of the work. And I'm pretty sure this camera won't have the focusing problem I have with my other camera. This camera should actually stay in focus, and yeah, we'll give it a go, just for that different point of view across the work area. All right, that's enough of that. We'll be back in a second. We'll have a look at these instructions and find out where I've got to start. Back shortly. Okay, welcome back, and let's have a look at the instructions here. So we will start with number 1. So one thing with working with these things is that you've got to always refer back to your Photo-etch instructions, because you don't want to miss something that, you know, you glue all these pieces together and you realize, oh, you're supposed to get Photo-etch supposed to go there, you know. So it's a bit awkward. I don't like the shape of these. I much prefer the booklet shape like Trumpeter do. It's just easy to handle these things. That way I could put up my music display board, as Jason mentioned in his video, or in my case I just use a back, well, you would have seen it when I had the other camera on, with a board, just a cutting board as a back, and a peg holds it in place, and I just stick that, so that's easy to get to, easy to see. So number 1, we've got some turrets to build. So we've got 4 and 2. So there's 6 turrets to build, 4 of one type, 2 of the other. They don't waste time, so we get straight into that. Now if we go to the Photo-etch, we find that we're looking at some brass piece here to go on where M3 is. Looks like M3 is not any of those. We need to go through and check if these turrets will need Photo-etch. And it looks like, sure they do, maybe not. I'll have to double check on that. Okay, let me just check this and I'll find out what I'm doing. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out, this is the first time I've looked at these instructions, and you're seeing this live. There's no prep going into this. This is as it's happening. So basically I've looked and seen this barrel here, and I figured, well, that's got to be off a main turret, and they want us to start building turrets here. So I looked at this, reference number is FH760145. If I go over to here, sure it is, there it is there. So it's one of these barrels, fine, no problem. And then I went to this one and it's got M3. Now that symbol, like the letter and number inside in the square, goes back to, it means the original part number. So M3, and I'm thinking, Okay, so M3. I had a quick look on here and I find there's sprue M. There's 2 sprues M, and here they are here, 1, 2. But 3 is, what's 3? So if we look at, I mean, all right, I'll be pretty obvious. If we look at the guns here, there they are. But there's not just, M isn't just 3, it's these turrets here, or these barrels, I should say, are M3, 4, 5, 6. And on the other one, M3, 4, 5, 6. So the M3 was a bit misleading for me. But anyway, we know that it's going to be all of those. So basically what they're asking us to do is to cut the barrels off the covers and replace them with the metal ones. There's the turrets themselves. We've got 4 of them there, which we have to build 4. These are on the sprue D15. DE15, I should say. So actually, we're looking at the wrong ones, I think. Let's have a look at DE15. So we go to my boxes. There's 2, DE15. 18, 16, 15. Here we go. There's DE15. There's some turrets there. So those are the turrets we need to use. And there are the barrels for those ones, which are much smaller. So obviously it's not those aren't for what I've got to build here. No, these are smaller. Okay, so these gun turrets here are smaller than the main ones. Oh, that's my phone, my other camera shutting down. Okay, so the instructions say we've got to build these ones first. So there's 4 of those, which is right, and then DE16, which is here. There's some more. Yes, there's some more on that, and 2 on those. All right, so obviously there's no photo etch parts for these. It looks like those barrels stay on. I'll go through and check, because just because you're on part 1 of the instructions doesn't mean you're on part 1 with the photo etch instructions. You literally have to go searching through the entire instructions to find out where to make sure that you haven't missed anything. So it looks like there is no brass parts for these, although we have more. Oh no, that shows us the brass parts there. Anyway, it's all no problem. Okay, so we'll come back in a sec and we'll start putting something together. Okay, back shortly. Okay, I'm back. So I got over that bit of confusion. It's all fine. So I'll be putting those we've got 4, 5, 6 turrets, which all go straight down on the ship there, as you'll see. If they're asking, they go straight down on the deck already. Now, I'm going to be putting, I haven't shown that yet, have I? All right, so I will show this. 1 second, reach up, here we go. So, here we go. So we got a wooden deck. So here we are, look at that. Especially for the FlyHawk 1700. That's our wood deck. Now, because the wood deck's going on, things like those turrets I won't be putting on just yet, because they won't go on. This deck won't go over the top of those. So pieces like that will be put together and then put aside until they do go on. And that goes for lots of things, particularly when it comes to on the deck, because I've got to do this. So I haven't even opened this up. Let's have a look inside. Open this up. So we've got I noticed there's a anchor chain in here. The kit didn't include an anchor chain, but there's one in here. I have another anchor chain I'm going to use that's already black, so that will save trying to paint or change the color. So here we go, let's have a look. And there we go. So there's all our pieces and where they all go on the ship. That's going to look really nice. I will most likely be doing some sort of a stain over this, although it's looking pretty good as it is. See, the detail in that decking is quite good, and it's reasonably dark. So if I did put some sort of a wash, camera decided to shut off again. Back in a second. Okay, we're back. So yeah, if I did need to put a stain of some sort over that, it would be very light. Yeah, look at the detail for the lifeboats there. Lots of lifeboats as some of the upper deck areas. All right, so yeah, that's gonna go on. So that has to be, I have to keep that in thought during the build process, because that will come into consideration when it comes to the decking, the painting. We have to figure out that. All right. All right. I'm going to go top up my coffee, and we'll come back and have a look at some work that needs to be done on the hull and the deck. I think there's a couple of holes that need to be drilled through here. Looks like there's a piece that goes in the front of the hull here. All right, we'll be back shortly. All right, so we've got these 4 sprues, these 2 and these 2. I've got the same on each. This is the 4 turrets I need to build. There's 2 on each, and these are the other 2 turrets, 1 on each, and they include all the parts for them. We've got the base, we've got the barrels, and the turret themselves. So that's good that they've put all of those on the same sprue. Nothing worse than having to go find bits and pieces from half a dozen different sprues that are totally unrelated to each other. And at least when these are done, I can throw away those sprues, and then it sort of tidies things up as we go. All right, so pretty much all I need to do now is just snip these off with my nice new clippers here. So good. I know I haven't mentioned it before, but for the last couple of months I've been getting a very sharp pain in here. I'm a fairly thin person, so I don't have a great deal of muscle mass, and it's like an RSI sort of thing from using tweezers, actually, not these, but using tweezers. And sometimes I'll put some deep heat on there to help, and then I'll put a rubber glove over to keep the heat in, and I'll go to bed and sleep like that. Wake up in the morning and it's usually all good. Sometimes it can last a whole day. Sometimes I can't do any modeling at all. And other times it's no problem at all. It's not noticeable. And I think it's my own fault that I don't exercise enough to strengthen up, you know, the using tweezers, like particularly when you've got to have a look here for a second. Especially when you've got to hold things in a single position for a long time, or get into different angles, and it may not seem much, and these are quite good. These are Master Tool ones. They're fairly easy to use, but it's just that holding it in a position for so long, it does, obviously, yeah, causing me pain. I did buy these, and these are good when I think about it, just to build up the strength there's different ways of using that to help, you know, just flexible, make things, just move things around different. You know, it's like when you get a pain in your arm from using it, being in the same position, using a mouse on the computer for a long time, and you change the position. Well, you just got to use muscles that don't usually get used. And that helps. I think that helps anyway. So, all right. So I'm going to keep working on these. And just take all these pieces off. And there's the bases for them here. These are really, really good tweezers. Yeah. Yeah. Might just be able to hear the birds in the background. They've woken up. It's now, what is the time now? It's 8:30 in the morning, so it's a nice sunny day in Sydney for a change. Don't know if it'll stay that way, but it's nice to have a sunny day because it brightens up my whole unit. It helps with the lighting. Overcast days are not good days for videotaping modeling work. And just take all these pieces off. And there's the bases for them here. These are really, really good tweezers. Yeah. Might just be able to hear the birds in the background. They've woken up. It's now, what is the time now? It's 8:30 in the morning, so it's a nice sunny day in Sydney for a change. Don't know if it'll stay that way, but it's nice to have a sunny day because it brightens up my whole unit and helps with the lighting. Overcast days are not good days for videotaping modeling work. So, okay, so there's two of the turrets there. I'm just going to take off two of the gun barrels. You can see how small these are, but how good these nippers are. They get right up into it. They're sharp. You just have to touch the spot there. Look at that. Anyway, I'll keep going with these and glue them together, and we'll come back and have a look at them. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So as you can see, we've got our 6 little turrets are all done here. 4 there and 2 there. So that's part of the step 1 in the instructions. The rest of step 1 is working on the support frames inside the main ship that need to be taken off. I'll just pause it for a second. We'll switch back up to the overhead camera and we'll have a look at that back in a second. Okay, so now we can see this. So this is the side of the ship. So what the instructions have us doing is clipping off this piece, because I didn't realize that that's actually a piece in there. That's A2. And A2 goes on the hull. So what we'll do is we'll clip that off, and because they're looking at, it's basically saying now to put the deck down on top of this, and then put this down on the hull. And then it progresses on to some of the pieces to do with the anchors on the bow of the ship. But I'm going to leave that because that goes on, that's after step 3. So also step 1 is putting the props and the rudder and everything on the hull. And again, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to leave that. There's a few things I have to work out with this yet. This kit didn't come with a stand, so I need to work out how I'm going to display this, and I'm most likely going to need to drill some holes in the bottom here, put something in here for it to stand on, and find a base for it. So for that reason, I don't want to be gluing down any of this or decking till I get that worked out. So I'll be skipping that. Oh, and that piece, that centerpiece there, is actually going in here. So it sits in the front there, which is quite unusual. But yeah, so that's going to sit in there. But that's all fine. And so because after that, the instructions go on to building all the superstructure parts, not actually touching the deck, which is over here. I'll bring that over too. So there's the deck. So I mean, it does show putting these little bits on here for the anchor chain and so forth, which I can't do anyway because I need to put the decking down. So that's a little bit further on. So what I'll do is I'll place my little turrets here away in their little box here and put them aside. And then we'll go to step 2. And step 2 is building up the main turret guns. There's, what have we got? 4 of those, I'm guessing. There's 1 and 3. So there's 4 of those going by this. Now, this I'm sure will have the barrels from the brass that came with the kit, and probably might be some photo etch. We'll have to go into that. But I'll leave that for the next video. Like I said, I'm not rushing the builds. I'm going to take things a little bit slower now. I'm going to put these out, well, probably about twice a week at the most, because I like to spend a bit more time focusing on the build and putting things together and all the finer detail than worrying about trying to get a video together and editing it and upload it every second day. It's a little bit much. So okay, so thanks for watching as usual, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notifications tab there so you get notified of each video as it comes up. Go back and watch the unboxing of this if you haven't already seen it, and get an idea of what we're going to do. And give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Comments are welcome down below. And hopefully I'll see you all in part 2 of the Bismarck, for the anniversary of the sinking of the Bismarck. Alright, cheers. See you soon.